yeah, why don't you tell us right off the bat what your number 5 favorite Power Ranger season is?
Well, before the fan base, straight up, crucifies me on this, number 5 for me was Cosmic Fury.
So you got Cosmic Fury as number 5.
Yeah,
Why
and
why this one? This one's a bit controversial because I think
yeah,
for one reason it's unfairly controversial because everyone almost always ends up hating on the most recent season. It's not as good as it should have
it,
been, so on and so forth. Why do you like this one so
it,
much?
the reason I like it so much is one, it gave so many callbacks to
Did
the established lore. We got to see Eltar.
we got the
We
Dark
got to
Ranger?
see Yeah, we got to see the finally got to see Dino Charge Dark Ranger. It was able to make so much stuff um, established canon on the screen that everyone had been hoping for a while. And I liked how the powers were interesting. I mean, seeing it, like, spoilers if you haven't seen it, seeing a team scrounge around to try to recover powers and have their powers like piecemealed thanks to Billy Cranston's return, and then having a set of Zords that are not like power themed,
My Q
but
Ranger
they
Zords.
right
I love
like
those Zords.
and and people have legitimate complaints about them not leaning into like the source material suits and stuff
I
like that.
know. It makes me sad a little bit.
And I kind of get it. We seen like the suits ended up looking okay
Except for the
on
shoulder
screen.
pads.
Yeah, yeah, you and shoulder pads though.
I hate
That's a
them,
you
man.
thing.
This ain't the 80s.
Yeah, I know, but what they were able to do with it, and with their 10-episode deadline, was give so much shout out to established things that hadn't been seen. I am so happy to see David Yost return
Oh,
after what
same,
happened with him
same.
in Zico's. Blue Ranger was OG Blue Ranger was one of my favorite Rangers.
For sure.
Um, like, I identified with Billy as a nerd before I realized I was a nerd,
Yeah.
and it was fun. Like, it was fun to see Billy return in charge
Yeah.
and mentor a team from a place of compassion and experience. And it that was Billy was what was the defining thing for me. Um, but watching Amelia take the mantle of Red Ranger and see the team rally behind her and watching her lead them through an impossible challenge of their Earth is being invaded and the Rangers have to teleport randomly away from the galaxy
Yeah.
and find their way back. And they have no powers, no Zords, no nada. And it was a big deal. It's a
Yeah.
huge deal.
I,
And
I
so
I
I
enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely a good, it was a good bow on top. And of course, coming off of the 2 seasons of Dino, I enjoyed that, those seasons, of course. We got our first like openly lesbian couple, which was such a big deal
oh
in the
yeah.
Power Rangers community. And we actually got to
Yeah.
see a little bit of a struggle with their relationship in Cosmic, which I thought was really good. It's not just oh, everything's perfect all the time. It's like, no, she was
Hmm.
a little bit too overprotective with that, and I thought that was really good storytelling without it being too pandering and stuff. It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. You got your darker themes, a ranger losing his arm and the struggles of that
Yeah.
disability. As someone that that is disabled from the military, I definitely identified with that story in a lot of ways of him, not
Mhm.
being able to do the things that were so important to him with like playing guitar and instruments and things like that. It's a very
Yeah.
relatable to someone like me. So that definitely was something
Mhm.
I really enjoyed about the season.
Yeah, like they nailed the human beats
Mhm.
very, very well. And that was like we're talking about, like, beneath the helmet, they really nailed that
Yeah, they did.
because that ended up being the driving force for them to put their helmet on and make it back to Earth. It was all their human beats that did that. It
Exactly.
wasn't just the call to action, and so that was really cool. It was really cool to see these Rangers so humanized
Mhm.
and so driving forward to protect what they cared about.
Oh
It
yeah.
was good.
So let's go on to your number four. And number four for you, what do we got, Ben?
Oh Lord, I don't remember.
It'd be a
Dino
Dino
Charge, Dino
Charge.
Supercharge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you grouped them together. We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
I did because Dino Charge laid the foundation for Supercharge, and so they are. I mean, yeah, look at all those Rangers in that
There's so
image.
many
Like,
Rangers in one season. Like that's
and
is it more or less than Q Ranger? I cannot remember.
it's less actually because Q Ranger
Less.
had 12,
Yeah, they
right?
did.
12 or
That was a
13.
lot.
Because that picture is actually missing one Ranger.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What
like
was it about this season that really drew you in though? Because
they
I
really
enjoyed it, but I had issues with the ending. Was my biggest complaint with it.
the ending of Charge or Supercharge.
I think Supercharge. Yeah.
I get that. I get the ending being an issue. What drove like they really leaned into the high fantasy aspect
Yeah.
of their power source, and the fact that we were suddenly saying, "Oh yeah, there's the sixth. Oh
Yeah.
wait, there's a seventh. There's an eighth." And then when because you've seen the 10 Dino Gems like in the first episode, and you're like, "Okay, cool. You're going to lean into the trope of them having excess Zords, no problem."
Right.
Into them now going, oh, there are 10 Rangers. And even looking in Cosmic Fury, because the Dark Ranger made an appearance, 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it was the first series that I know of in the Power Rangers lore that actually expanded the team that big.
Oh yeah. I'm
And
pretty sure it
and
was the biggest.
and they for me they nailed it. They nailed the characterization of everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I had the privilege of email. I was emailing Yoshi Zadarso to try to get him on some of our streams, and seeing how he was able to play Coda,
Yeah.
um, a caveman who was having to now live in modern world as a Blue Ranger, um, right beside Chase, the Black Ranger, who was he's just a skater boy. Avril Lavigne would love that. And he didn't take things too seriously. Had fun, even in combat. That's what he did. And then then seeing Shelby find the pink energy gem, and then you see Tyler and Riley, the Green Ranger. All of them just coming in out of nowhere, being called in for a purpose, a higher
Right.
calling, and then getting to meet Keeper. And then, of course, the Gold Ranger, Ivan, dude, like he is a knight from 800 years ago, and he comes in showing like bringing so much to the table that he's like, I was a badass before I had my ranger powers. Now what are you going to do?
Right. I
And
definitely think it's a good season to start people on as well. If they're just
it
getting
is,
into
yeah,
Sentai, it's probably one of the better introductory seasons.
it really is. It really is. If you're getting into if you're wanting to see a Power Rangers series, I would highly recommend Dino Charge and Supercharge as an
Yeah.
introduction
Pretty well
because
rounded.
in
Like I
Super,
said, just the ending bothers me. Timey-wimey type of stuff
yeah,
is always kind of shaky for me.
it is. It is, and they acknowledge that like in later seasons, saying that it is an alternate dimension,
Yeah,
and
they had
so
to
which
because
is
they would have messed with the timeline so much.
absolutely. And so like that the big thing, the final piece of this was a worldwide threat, invasion across the planet, and they have four Megazords going to town in
Yeah.
different parts of the world fighting this thing. I was like, a team with four Megazords is intense, and as a big robot nerd, I'm here for it.
Oh yeah. We love our mecha here. So moving on to your number three. Do you remember what you had for your number three?
Yeah, Zeo.
Zeo.
Controversially, yeah, Zeo. Um, because I was a early, again, like I was there in August of '93 when Power Rangers first aired on TV, and
Same,
we,
same.
yeah, dude, I remember them announcing Zeo and seeing the end of Mighty Morphin and watching the shift in Zeo, seeing Tommy finally become a Red Ranger and all that stuff. Um, Zeo was really the first series. If you watch it, um, they try to explore more beneath the helmet.
Yeah, yeah,
They
that's
and, and
definitely
and you
true.
see that, and of course it has a lot of flaws because they were still trying to figure out the formula. They were trying to recover from a viewership drop from Mighty Morphin. Um, um, Tanya Sloan is a fantastic Yellow Ranger.
Yeah, she is.
Um,
I've met her a few
but
times in person. Pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, the characterization of her being a child suddenly turned into a teenager and no adjustment period.
Yeah.
That was
It's
like
got
I
its
would have
flaws.
loved. It does, and but seeing Tanya come into her own though was really good.
Yeah.
Um, seeing Kat take up a mantle without any um, without being in Kimberly Hart's shadow was really good. That was fun to see her come into her own.
Well, and you got the return
But
of Jason Lee Scott as well.
yeah, the Hail Mary to try to save their ratings.
Yeah.
He
You mean
if I'm not
Trey
mistaken,
Triforia wasn't doing it for everybody?
no, you mean the uh, Ryan Steele from VR Troopers, who was
Yeah.
the voice actor of Trey of Triforia,
Right.
and so like the it should have been Billy,
It should have.
and if anyone knows the history behind all that, um, it's a shame that he wasn't.
I mean, he's the one that should
And
have created the turbo powers as well. Like, there's a lot of like BS they did Cranston wrong kind of stuff that went
everyone,
on.
yeah, that's the thing. Like if you know the series and you know what happened in the early '90s, they did Cranston wrong. They did David Yost wrong,
Yep.
and which is why Cosmic Fury made this list for me is to have
The redemption,
Billy
man.
Cranston. Yeah,
Well, because
yeah,
you have to
and
imagine
Sydney.
none of the OG people that were cruel to him back in the day are there anymore. Thankfully.
Thankfully, and I do know that there have been some public apologies.
As
Um,
well, there should be.
oh yeah, and I agree with that. Um, but it was like I was disheartened to see how they treated Billy. Billy should have had more. I remember as a kid seeing Billy's abrupt departure,
Yeah.
and even then feeling this feels off.
Agreed.
And but the reason Zio made this list was because of the market left on the franchise,
Yeah.
um, the what they were trying to do in greater storytelling prospects, and I don't want to forget what they actually did to Billy Cranston.
Yeah.
And so it deserves to like it doesn't deserve to be praised how they treated him,
Right.
but it should be remembered to know that we don't do that again.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can see that they're taking strides. They're going in the right
Oh
direction with
yeah.
the series.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, it seems like they are with some of the choices that they've made with like Cosmic Fury and Dino and
Mhm.
whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So after Zio, this is one of my favorites. Your number two. What's your number two, Ben?
Oh yeah, dude. In space. In
Oh yes,
space.
in space. The cap
Oh yes.
off quote unquote of the Zordon era. We have to put
Oh yeah.
those
Now
quotes because of weird continuity stuff.
it's a thing. So I tell you what, though, I know how much you love this one, and I've been
I
rambling.
do.
So why don't you go into In Space for a little bit, bud?
Okay, so talking about Power Rangers in space. Now, this is your number two, but one of the reasons that this is
Yeah.
such an amazing season was because this was supposed to be the end. They were wrapping up all of the story plots and adding some amazing new ones that they had never done before. You have Andros. We got an alien ranger. He's able to move things with his mind. He's been a ranger for a while, so this is the first time that we're really getting the ranger that's already been doing it before the series even started. I mean, we had the Phantom Ranger and the Centurion, but those are kind of different in my opinion. So it was really cool to see something like that with him. But you also had us like, oh, he lost his sister. This is like a really interesting theme. Finding out that the main villain for most of the series was his sister all along. You have the best to this day evil rangers to this day. Sorry, all of the other seasons that have done evil rangers, you cannot beat the Psycho Rangers. The Psycho Rangers are awesome. They really were just some of the coolest things. Like I said, it's got a great ending. It's a great cap off to the Zordon era. It's got an amazing team that took one that a lot of people weren't thrilled about with Turbo and really brought them into their own, because in Turbo, they were just the replacements. It was the Tommy's not here anymore. This isn't as fun. They really, I felt, they came into their own more in space than they did in Turbo, where they were just the replacements, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. You nailed it. Like in space, when you see Astronema, it is literally the like beta version of oh no, she's hot.
I'm here for the
And
wigs.
yeah, like Astronema Corone was intense. The Psycho Rangers actually made you worried for the Rangers. Um, Seeing the first Silver Ranger make an appearance and absolutely, I mean, they crush it.
Oh yeah, and he had
Um,
a cool story as well. Like he was like frozen on ice, not knowing if he was gonna live. Like you
yeah,
know,
like he was on life support, and then his life support failed.
yeah.
Like
And that's
came
what's
to
so crazy because you not only have Andros losing his sister, but he also lost his best friend that is on life support there. There's just so many heavy themes with Andros when you really look into him, which I've met his actor multiple times. I even worked with him on a
yeah.
project in the past. Really cool guy. Really, really cool guy. So yeah, space easily
Mhm.
Ninja Turtles episode aside, one of the best seasons. They can't all be bangers. They can't all be bangers, guys.
Hey, don't be hating on Venus de Milo. What are you doing?
Oh god.
Um,
They were trying to
but
make
no,
every type of Sentai they could back then.
Power Rangers opened the gate, man.
Mhm.
But but no, dude. Like, I mean, would we go as so far to say that that Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover there was what laid the seed for the awesome crossovers we're seeing in the comics now with Ninja Turtles?
I feel like that they did them in the comics specifically because they felt they had to make that like fix that mistake. I feel like they were like, no, we got to do it right this time, guys. Like I feel like there's such a big part of it that it was pushed for that it might not have happened else otherwise. Because if you go and you go like, hey, can we have a crossover with these? You might get a like, that doesn't make sense. They're not even in the same universe. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that it had been done in the past wrong brings up such an opportunity of like a hey, we can fix it, guys. We have the technology. We can redo this.
And they've done I think 3 of them now? Yeah, they've done 3,
Yeah,
and
it's really
it's been
cool every time they
incredible
do it. Like I
every
still want
time.
a figure of Shredder with the green power coins so badly because it is such a cool
Dude,
suit.
Mutant Rangers, dude. The
Mhm.
Mutant Rangers.
Yeah,
That was yeah,
it is pretty
bar
great.
none. Looks so cool.
So moving on to your number one pick. This one might not be a surprise to many of you. What's your number one pick, Ben?
Oh, dude, the OG Mighty Morphin. Man, it's what started it all for me.
The OG. Now,
Yeah.
are you specifically saying season 1 or just all 3 seasons together?
All 3 seasons together.
Okay. Okay. That's
And,
fair. That's fair.
it is because all 3 seasons, like season 1 was an introduction. You got to see how they got their powers, how they
Yeah.
started. You got to see um, Tommy come in as a new kid on the block. You got to see Tommy come into his own.
Oh yeah, Green with Evil
Um,
still one of the best like lines of episodes that we've ever gotten in Power Rangers.
oh, dude, the guy who wrote those episodes was one of my teachers at Full Sail, and
Nice.
he was great. Like he would be like probably one of the hardest classes I took there, but I was like, "You're my hero," and then like a week later, I'm like, "You're the hardest teacher I have. This isn't fun."
You're so much nicer to your teachers with that type of stuff. I had ones that would like one of the guys worked on like Harry Potter doing like the helmet, and
Yeah.
I gave him shit the whole time. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Oh, dude.
though my
I'm
teacher that did special effects on the Expendables, I only brought up the Hallmark movies that he worked on because I thought it was funny.
That is great.
Yeah,
I like like he was an awesome professor. The class I did was comic book writing.
yeah,
The only thing
that's
that
pretty
made it so
cool.
hard was yeah, it was cool. The only thing that made it so hard was he was the only professor who because I did it online while working full time, and his lectures were mandatory attendance mandatory
Mm-hmm.
when everyone in the class was working adults, and if you missed the lecture, like the other professors would record them for you because they understood.
Right.
Um, yeah, he made it hard. But back to Mighty Morphin,
Yeah.
um, like it was it established this idea of cheap, cheesy superheroes
Yeah.
and merchandising opportunities. And I'll never forget the Christmas I had of '94 when I walked into the living room where our Christmas tree was, and our entire living room was filled to almost top to bottom with packages
Yeah.
and every bit of it was Power I had ended up getting the Power Rangers like Play-Doh dry clay kit where
Yeah.
you make
I
your own
feel ya.
putties. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
I
I
do,
had
I
a power
do.
like the Power Rangers tent.
Yeah.
Had a tent.
I
Had
think I
a
might have had the
got
tent as well, actually.
like they went so hard on all the merchandising.
Oh, so
Um,
hard. I know I had the sleeping bag.
I did too. I had
Definitely
the
had the
full
sleeping
full
bag.
full bed set.
Yep. I
I
had
we
I had Saba. I had a Saba. I had the Falcon
had a,
Zord. You had to have all
had
of that
Saba as
stuff.
well.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
I
had
had
the
the
I had the I had the gloves. Do you remember the gloves that
I
made
did too.
noises when you
I
when
did.
you punched them and
Yes, I
stuff?
had. Yeah, like you had the button right
Yep,
here,
yep,
and you had to
exactly.
push a button to do the chop. Yes,
Yep.
and it made the swiping. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had those as well. Um, yeah, like between my mom and dad right now, as a 34-year-old man, I think we still have the complete set of the trading card game
Nice.
of Power Rangers, and it's intense. Like the merchandising, they went so hard on it. And as a kid, I was literally laying in a pile of Power Ranger toys.
Yeah.
And so it checked off all the boxes for me as a kid. And what I didn't realize it was actually doing was introducing me to what a fandom was.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the storytelling was very, monster of the week.
Yeah.
But it
That's
but it
very
was
Toku. There's nothing wrong with it.
it is, and it was this kids TV show that actors were making, like, yeah, ununionized $600 a week,
Ugh.
which,
Yeah, we can get
I
into a
mean,
whole discussion about that another time.
another time for sure, that just absolutely explodes to be the number one TV show in the world.
Yeah.
Like
So,
how they hit that formula, but going into the characters, into the characterization, they were all just genuinely trying to change the world where they were as teenagers.
yeah.
I
It
mean, I remember.
definitely established a lot of the tropes that we still see to this day. And it's so well recognized, it's referenced multiple times, even in the Sentai. Like, if you go and watch Akiba Ranger, they reference it because they have the Mighty Morphin, but they wear like American flag belts instead. So they recognize,
Yes,
game recognizes game. They know what's up. They know what's up.
right, and it was, and that's what they did. Like it just established that, oh yeah, no, we're so good in our human lives that we're gonna go to a world peace summit because we've been selected to be part of it. We're going to clean up the entire town of all the trash. Like it was like they wanted to empower people to be that good,
Oh yeah.
and it was cool to see. And so, but yeah,
So
Tommy, Tommy forever.
that is Ben's top 5 Power Ranger seasons. From the top, he had Cosmic Fury. Number
Hmm.
4, Dino Charge. Number
Hmm.
3, Zeo. Number 2, Power Rangers in Space. And then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to cap it
Yeah.
off. His top 5. We'll try and get to
Hmm.
mine very, very soon. I would like to do a top 5 as well, but we don't have time for that this time.